Tucker, if you had to pick one negative thing to living in Nashville, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Just one, Clay? I have 10. There's so many things I want to complain about in Nashville, but if I had to start somewhere, it would definitely be the high cost of living.
Yeah, we got to start there. So in this video, we're going to go over some of the negatives about living in Nashville, Tennessee. And if you're thinking about moving to Tennessee, you're going to want to watch this video because we're going to lay out from the eyes of two locals what it's like here and what are the negatives to being in this area. It all starts right now. All right, Tucker, let's jump into it. Talk to me about your top negative and let's talk about real life in Tennessee.
Sure, Clay. So no matter what part of the country you're coming from and they're trying to be in Nashville, usually it's for a job. And we start talking about all the different boroughs. The cost of living and what you get can be kind of disappointing. There's people that are going, I want the primary on the main level. You don't have a big enough yard here. Or my budget seems to be practically a rundown home for $600,000. These are the real life issues we're dealing with.
We're talking real life. The minimum cost to buy a house in Nashville has gone up. I remember when it was 100 or 150 grand. Now you're lucky to see houses at 400 grand for like the bare minimum house, 1,200 feet, 1,100 feet within 15 minutes of downtown Nashville. You're lucky to find stuff really under 400. And again, like you say, the average price point is somewhere up around that 700, 800 or more to get a house that most people are going to be excited about living in. So the cost of living is a big deal. If you're coming from another major city, you think you're saving a bunch of money in Nashville? Well, you might, but you might be disappointed as well, right?
Well, absolutely. And then when we back out of just housing costs, usually the next conversation when we get somebody settled is allergies. And they're going, Tucker, I don't know what's going on. And so they're trying to find an allergist to try to get an antihistamine or something to work. We've noticed this in the news with Tennessee Titans players. They move here and realize they need an inhaler. They need some additional support.
Yeah, Tennessee, worst state in the America for allergies, supposedly. And Nashville's kind of in a little bit of a bowl. So allergies are real. Most people here suffer from them. I take a medicine. I take just, a Zyrtec for it or whatever every day, though, every single day of the year now. And I don't think about it anymore, but I take a medicine because of it and for it. So you got to be willing to deal with that. It's worse at certain times of year, spring and fall, when things are blooming or when things are dying is when a lot of people get bad allergies. But that's a real life thing in Tennessee. What else, Tucker?
Sure. Well, if we're going to talk allergies, then we need to talk about humidity. You're going to notice when all our big tourist events are when it's absolutely the hottest and it's the most humid and people are just falling all over the place. That's one of the biggest challenges that people are really trying to adjust to. They're coming from out west with a drier climate, and then they move here and they need to just realize you're just going to wear the humidity.
Yeah, if there's one thing that takes me out of living in Middle Tennessee, it's probably going to be the humidity. And I may just leave for the summer at some point in life because I'm not built for the heat. And you definitely are going to sweat in Nashville in the summertime. And you nailed it. There's a ton of great concerts and CMA Fest and Pilgrimage, all these big things, Bonnaroo even. They're all in the freaking middle of the hot summer. It's unfortunate, but some of us are just not built for these conditions, Tucker.
Which is completely opposite. You can put me in the middle of Arizona or Texas and I'm fine. Is it 20 degrees outside? And I'm just absolutely just the most miserable individual that you're going to be around. But anyway, those are kind of the big stuff. When we kind of get back into the other issues that you're really dealing with around Nashville, I think you're going to have to talk about the traffic issues.
Traffic is a thing. My advice is to try to figure out how to avoid rush hour in the morning and in the afternoon. It's only getting worse. And the way I think people can do that is you figure out where you're going to work first and try to orient where you live around that. If you just move here and plan on getting a job, you may be inconvenienced, but I think rush hour is bad. People complain about it. I do what I can to avoid rush hour, to avoid getting out and around. A lot of people are working from home. Home offices are on the rise, as you know. So it's not going to affect everybody, but there are certain neighborhoods in Nashville where you can really get a place to live and work nearby and shop nearby and not have to get outside a big radius, which is a key to avoiding traffic pains and agony, right?
Well, sure. And then when you look at a map of Nashville, But the I-24 corridors seem to be the most heavily traveled. Those are our industrial corridors for the city. Those are hard. And so really when people come down, they see something like a Nolensville and they get really excited about the price point, what all you get for, $1 million, $1.2 million. It's like, hey, we need to literally drive this at 5 o'clock during the week and see if that's something you can handle. And sometimes they go, I am so glad we did that. And so not always the best thing that they want to hear, but you're just trying to give them the hard facts of, hey, some of these areas, they look great, but you're going to be sitting in traffic and you might not be happy. And then when you look at the I-40 corridor on going east and west, that's really your growth corridor. And those seems to be the easiest ones besides I-65 south.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think people would love to know like top neighborhoods, top suburbs to live in, to have access to Nashville, but to not be, in a huge commute time. Definitely got to plug our other video for top 7 suburbs in Nashville. It's a very popular video, and we talk all about some of our top picks for areas to know about if you're thinking about moving to Tennessee. So look for that video, Tucker. And I agree. If you can find the right neighborhood, you're going to absolutely love life. If you move too far away from work and you find yourself having to be at work at a certain time and having to drive 45 minutes or an hour, you're probably not going to love it.
Yeah, but if we talk about just the different pockets around Nashville that we really like, the first one I'll start off with is WeHo. WeHo, as you know, Claire, is about to get a Hermes. And so I know your wife is probably really excited about that. I know mine is. And that'll be neat. Also, Travel and Leisure just named Wedgwood, Houston, that whole pocket. That's where Geoda's Park is, and Dicey's Pizza, which was covered by Dave Portnoy. Neat area, a lot of new development continue to come online. It really has its own ecosystem and own walkability. Just a neat area to be around.
Yeah, and it's gritty. It's not what everybody's looking for. It's a very urban, very like old rough neighborhood turning over into like nice luxury condos. It's still gritty, and it's right there about a mile south of downtown. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods, and I know it's one of yours. Lots of great restaurants there. It's like a city is being born as we watch it over the last several years. Definitely check out our video. We have a couple of videos about WeHo. You got the soccer stadium in that neighborhood. You got just lots of cool stuff. You got a really cool park that overlooks downtown Nashville in that neighborhood. That's noteworthy as well. So that is one of my top picks. Super convenient. You can get to downtown on a scooter if you wanted to. It's pretty darn close. But what else, Tucker? What else are you thinking about?
Well, if you slide over from Geoda's Park and Wedgwood, Houston, you get right into that Berry Hill, 12 South pocket. Yes, you're going to have a lot. That's a heavy tourist corridor because you have Draper James and all those different shops. We go to the 12 South Tap Room. That's where my kids love to go because they love their cheese dip. So that's like our spots. So if we're ever going to a concert or going to a soccer game, that's literally where we start. Just go to the tap room and then right on over. That's where you're going to get your $1 million home. You're going to get a little bit more yard. You're going to definitely have that walkability. And that's what really people like is they get their dog, they get their kids, and then they can walk 2 blocks, 5 blocks to everything you really want.
Man, and that's a great spot. I love the 12 South corridor. You have, again, it's kind of gotten touristy along the strip there, but you have tons of boutique shopping. You got the Viore store. You have a Ladybird Taco. You got a bunch of restaurants. It's just, that's a must see. And it may be a must live. If you want to, you got the Sevier Park right there. They've got the community center. They got pickleball, tennis, basketball. Have a picnic. Great spot right there in 12 South. And if you're somebody who wants a historic home, then 12 South probably needs to be on the list. Belmont is adjacent to that. Both historic areas, really cool sidewalks. If you get a couple blocks off of 12 South, you're probably going to like life a little more because it's so much parking demand right there along 12 South that if you live right there, you may get frustrated with people parking in your front yard and blocking your driveway. But great neighborhood. If you've got $1 million to $3 million, you're going to probably want to see 12 South and that Belmont area to have on your list at least, right?
Yes, and you can slide right on over to Forest Hills, Green Hills Mall. That's a big hub right all through there. Forest Hills, you're going to start picking up a little bit more yard. You can get that acre to 5 acres. You can still be in that $2 to $3 million price range. What's great about Forest Hills, there's no gas stations out there. It's really just homes, covered in the hills, and you feel like you're completely tucked away, even though you're right there in the city. So I love that part of town. Love Radnor Lake. I wish we could just like duplicate Radnor Lake and just have 4 or 5 more of them, because it's a huge park, not a lot of parking. So you could really go there, walk all around the lake, and just feel like you're all by yourself.
Yeah. So we're talking about the negatives of Nashville. We keep finding ourselves talking about stuff that we're excited about. But one of the negative, the way it's grown so much, like the cost, the traffic we talked about. Tucker, what else is there? The school systems have got pressure on them. Certain schools are definitely higher rated than others. So not everybody's going to be jumping up and down about their public school option in Davidson County, which is Nashville proper. One of the trends we see is that a lot of folks who live in Davidson proper may end up considering moving to one of the other counties nearby. Williamson County is really well known for people moving just for the school zones and school system. So all the school stuff can be found, via your own research on greatschools.org or similar websites. They rate the schools based on different criteria and grades. Any other thoughts on that, Tucker?
Sure. Now, you do have Hillsborough High School. They have several special international programs that is very successful. And we've helped people that have moved here from out west, and their budget could have fit anything. We could have done Williamson County schools, and they could have done private school for everything. And they were really blown away by Hillsborough High School. It fit their needs of what they were looking for, what was important. So there still are options out there. You still have magnet schools. And so there are still choices to choose from. People swear about several of these elementary schools, especially when you're in the Green Hills area. So
that's exactly right. The interesting thing to me about Hillsborough High School is that it's right there in the middle of Green Hills. It's such a random location, but like you've got like a luxury high-end shopping mall right across the street. You got probably 100 restaurants within walking distance. It's a very interesting spot for a high school. And they've rebuilt it recently, but you're right. There's a baccalaureate program there, or something that's just very sought after for a lot of people. So noteworthy for sure, but you will see a trend of some people not riding it out in Davidson County because the schools are not what they're looking for. So that could be a negative to living in Nashville proper, and you may find yourself looking at other options. That takes me into one more thing that we got to say, and that is in Nashville proper, your property tax rate is going to be significantly higher than your adjacent counties around Nashville. So if you got to see another negative, you may spend thousands more, every month or every year to live in Nashville proper, correct?
Oh, yes. I mean, Clay, I've got a tiny matchbox duplex in North Nashville, 37208, bought it for $50,000. It's worth maybe $500, $550. I used to pay nothing in property taxes, and now I'm paying $3,200, $3,300 a year. I mean, that's compared to Williamson County, that's really high. So that's why a lot of people go, you know what? The taxes, I'm trying to downsize. I'm trying to keep more of my money in my pocket. That's when you start seeing people leave Davidson County and go into a Williamson or Sumner, where you have Gallatin and Hendersonville. And so that is another pocket. Of course, you're by the lakes up there, so you have several different housing options and ecosystems up there.
Well, you bring up a good point. Like, again, back to our original point in this video, like the cost of housing, especially for somebody who's landlord or wants to be a real estate investor, Nashville in some ways has eliminated a lot of the opportunity for people like that to find houses that make sense to buy and rent out. It's not quite as easy to make the numbers work as it used to be, because just the cost of entry has gotten a lot higher as people have moved to Nashville. So investors, landlords, you may not love their returns. You may love the appreciation that you see, but the actual monthly rent versus what you got to pay to get a property to rent out, you may be like, I'm out. Take me somewhere cheaper. Take me to another marketplace. So it has become cost prohibitive for a lot of landlords to be active in Nashville.
Yeah, unless you're just a cash buyer, or what we deal with is somebody's moving here, they're doing a 1031 exchange from their properties out west, they're moving it here, and then we're finding things that make sense to make sure the numbers work. But we like to line up spreadsheets, Clay, and that's where I become a dork and get really excited about, see what type of return we can find here. So that's...
Yeah, well, I gotta say, you're really good at pinpointing some of those other areas that make sense as rental, and those markets. So if you're somebody watching this video and you're interested in investment property, Tucker's definitely the guy. You know, reach out, get on a conversation with us, and we can probably help you connect some dots.
Yes, and then the other thing I want to talk about that's really negative, Clay, is the Tennessee Titans. First of all, you're moving to typically a losing football team. We're hoping to turn that around. But if you go to a game right now, there's no parking. They're building a brand new stadium, and it's going to be great in 3 years. And if you live in Davidson County, thank you for paying for that. And it should be really neat. But just know that whole East Bank is going to be a mess for the next 5 years.
Yeah, growing pains. I mean, downtown Nashville has become so freaking cool and so different than it was even 10 years ago. But with that comes the growing pains, the parking issues, the traffic issues, all that stuff. So it's pros and cons, but man, it is like the whole riverfront area, River North, all that Oracle campus. There's just so many really cool things. They're activating that waterfront. That's the plan. So there's going to be more water navigation on the river, which is in downtown Nashville. Super exciting stuff going on for sure. We're becoming a big city, Tucker.
Well, we are. And the funny thing is, Clay, Jen and I used to live in Green Hills. And so we would always just give all of our money to the Starbucks right there. And what's so neat about that whole, we're in Music City. I could be standing next to the president and I don't know. And Jen and I were standing in line for Starbucks one day, and this is, 15 years ago, and Jenna keeps pointing in front of us, and Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban just right in front of us, ordering Starbucks, just like normal people, and it was comical.
Yeah, the celebrities need Starbucks too. I gotta confess, I've got a Starbucks problem. I'm on these iced drinks, shaken espresso, but somebody send help, please. All right, Tucker, anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, thanks for watching. Again, we like it when you subscribe. Love it when you call.
Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our other videos about different pockets of Nashville. And if you're looking for that right place, the right vibe, the right fit for you, then shoot us a text or call and let us know what you're looking for. And until next time, hope to show you around town.